Here are a few things you didn't know about the Greaves, the armor for the shins. So, do you know the reason why the straps on the Greaves are on the inside of the leg and not on the other side, on the outside? No, they are on the inside. And it really has an important reason why they are on the inside. If you think about it, a knight, in most cases mounted on horseback, his legs are quite exposed if he is high on his horse. So the legs, and so also the leg harness, the leg armor, can get hit quite easily if you think about it. So what will happen when the straps are hit by a sword or an axe, or maybe just an arrow with a sharp point that just goes around and just on the side of the leg? What will happen is the strap will break off, will shatter, and if that happens, the whole leg harness, or in this case only the greave, will come off, or at least it will get looser. And if that happens, it won't fit that well anymore, and it will hinder and disturb the knight, the wearer of the greaves. So to protect the straps on the greaves, they really thought about it. Like, okay, we don't want the leg harness and a certain protection, so the greaves, we don't want it to come off, to open while on horseback, or even when on battle, when in a fight. So to provide that issue, to prevent that from happening, place the belts on the inside of your legs, of the greaves. So if you put them on, if there comes an attack from a weapon, it will be on the outside. So the hinges of the greaves are on the outside, as you can see, and the straps are on the inside. And are so small things that can make a huge difference when it comes to surviving the battle, or laying dead on the ground when you fall off your horse because your leg harness doesn't work anymore. So think about that. Another point, if you look at leg harness in general, it was hard to make, because if it is really custom made on size, it has to be really close to your body, to your legs, of course. So you won't see that much padding underneath leg harness, because you don't need padding if it fits properly. If you look at the sport fights like BOTN, Buhurt, HMB, it is really sport based. It is sport for the style, and they really use, in most cases, a lot of padding underneath. So in that case, the leg harness will look quite bulky. Not always, but in most cases it will look bulky. So if you look at historical sources, effigies, manuscripts, the whole bunch, you will see that it is smooth. It isn't bulky, it is smooth. It has a lot of shape in it. And that's especially at the greaves. They really had a lot of shape and a lot of curves and action, and you know, it really has to fit as close as possible to your shins. Otherwise it won't fit. It will hurt when you move your legs. it just wouldn't work the way it should. It has to be close to your leg, close to your shins, and it has to be handmade, of course, and it has to be made for the person that wearing it. So that's also the reason why you don't see that much leg harness in the mid 14th century. Oh well, you see a lot of leg harnesses, but not much that has fully enclosed greaves, because they were hard to make, and only the knights from a higher class were able to afford them, because there were more steel available. And we talk about the period of the Black Death. So the population around Europe, it really decreased a lot. So the armor that was available was easier to come by, and also the steel and the materials to make armor was easier to come by. When you talk about the end of the 14th century, it was more and more a thing to wear full enclosed greaves. So it was easier to get. Still, it was quite expensive, but it was easier to come by custom-made armor, and also of course custom-made greaves. So if you think about it, most men at arms, so the highest class soldier, and in some cases they were even from the nobility, so men at arms. So basically, some cases a knight without the title of knight, so men at arms. In most cases they didn't wear full enclosed greaves because it was too expensive. They won't wear a dummy greave, so only the front, and in some cases partly the backside. So you have one front and two flaps on the sides, or just one piece in front. So it was easier to make, and they have only the armor had only to border with the front of the greaves. The backside was in most cases completely open. It was easier to make. It was not directly munitions armor, but still it was easier to make. So easier to come by, it was cheaper, and it protects that quite well. Of course not as good as full enclosed greaves, but it did in most cases a job. And as men at arms and the basic soldiers were in most cases not mounted, but just foot soldiers, the foot folk, they didn't really have to bother that much about leg armor, because most of the hits were around the helmet, the head, around the shoulders, maybe the hands, and in some cases here and there a hit towards the legs, but it was quite rare. And I'm fighting a full harness, and even I know that a hit to the legs, it can happen, but it is quite unlikely to happen, because you don't want to hit the legs, because it doesn't have that much benefit. If you're armored, hitting the legs and you're completely open. So if I go low, my enemy, my opponent will attack me on my head in most cases, because I'm completely open. So the legs were not really something that was attacked that often. It could happen, it will happen, but in most cases less often than, let's say, the head, the shoulders, the hands, because the hands are in front of the weapon. So that's basically it. So a leg harness and mostly the greaves, they really have to be made on sides if you want it all, if you want a close type of greaves. So I really hope you like this video. If so, give us a huge thumbs up, and I will see you by the next one.